Welcome to another episode of Curious Success. My name is Rashim. I'm one of the key contributors, along with my colleague.
Simba, say hey guys, what's up?
And we have a special guest today. Please introduce yourself, get a little background.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Charles. I've known these young brothers. Excuse me. My man
This
Rasheen.
guy gotta get it.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, I was actually throwing you a bone by saying both the young brothers. You know what I'm saying? But all good, all good. Either way, I know these two good brothers for a number of years. You know, and I had the day off to come and check them out and see the positive things that they're doing here. And again, I'm lucky to be here. So appreciate y'all having me on, fellas.
Thanks,
Sure.
thanks. So today we're going to be talking about pretty much modern day racism. There's been a lot of current events of late, even with the president in office and the agenda that he was pushing. So there's a lot of things that we wanted to pretty much kind of like speak on today. And this actually carried over from a group chat that we had, which we had a constructive conversation that we wanted to just expand on. I felt some fire and some brimstone for one of the young men, Simba, during this conversation. And I think the starting point for me, I think, would be, the place to start from would probably be, do we feel nowadays that the black man has integrated more into society? Or African Americans, period.
I mean, yeah, man. Like I was just talking, I had another group chat with some of my boys. We were talking about, Kanye and the Trump and all those different things, and we was talking about Harlem, and how Harlem was, I guess, quote unquote black, back in the day, and I'm like, that's different now, right? I was like, Harlem's gentrified now. My boys, oh no, he lives in Philly. He's like, oh, I just came over here and I went to like MLK Boulevard and the Apollo, and I saw people. I'm like, man, the Apollo ain't the Apollo no more, bro. Like it doesn't have that same flavor as it has back in the day. But I mean, if you look at it overall, like big picture, yeah, because we have more opportunities and we can do different things. I can speak for myself, where I've come from. I'm an immigrant, right? Trini, what up? And I came over here, and where I'm at, and working and doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm not sure if I would have been able to do that 50 years back, 100 years back. I probably wanted the routes that I took probably didn't exist back then, right? I got a lot of support from different people who wanted to put me in positions to empower myself. I don't think you were getting those many opportunities back in the day overall. So I'd say overall, big picture, sure, right? There's a lot of I can sit wherever I want on the bus, right? Right. If I got enough money for a plane ticket, I could sit first class, right? So I think overall, yeah, but there's a whole bunch of things that are still happening that I think now with that dude in power, the 45th president, he's kind of, it was overshadowed. It was like behind the scenes. Now he's kind of like, oh, this is what's really happening, right? I literally was at the barbershop, and it was on CNN, and I can't remember what city or state, and this white supremacist was on TV. He had the whole swastika and all that, and he was like, I won't call myself a KKK, but that's the views I support and all this nonsense. And was basically like he was saying that, hey, we run the country, we want you guys out. And not just black people, everybody of color, right? Even though white people were immigrants, they weren't natives, right? So, and all the different things that Trump is doing to show that he doesn't care about black people or people of color or minorities. So there's still a long way to go. But I think overall we've definitely come far, right? There's certain things Charles, that we are doing now that we probably were not able to do, right? But it's a progress, and I think it's a mindset that we gotta have to make that change. That's where it starts, though.
I mean, for me personally, like when you bring up the term modern day racism. Racism is something that never really stopped. You know what I'm saying? It drove a lot of the principles and a lot of the things that separated us in the first place, when they brought us over here. So even when we talk about us integrating into society, what I'm saying, it's not a matter of us necessarily integrating, because you understand all of it was very slow progression, but it was progressive nonetheless. But you gotta understand too, like we were people that was considered chattel. We were considered property. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We were considered animals.
An item.
You know,
Right.
pretty much. You know, so no, it's pretty much no better than a toothbrush that you use to brush your teeth in the morning. You know, a brush to brush your head. You know what I'm saying? And obviously we could talk. You know, we could communicate. We walk on two legs. You know, give us pants. You know, we put it on one leg at a time, type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So for us to say, like, you know, to the question of have we become more integrated into society, I feel like that we're going forward in a place to where we're recognizing our power and our strength. You know, we're recognizing how history right now is sort of, in a sense, taking shape and like repeating itself, because of also like the way that the president is acting, his antics and stuff like that. You know, but you gotta understand too, like the way he got into office was pretty much a popularity contest, you know, and I think like that's why, like for the most part, a lot of people has become desensitized to the idea about politics, you know. But I think now with him being in power, I think a lot of people appreciate right now the idea about us being able to vote, you know, lack thereof with the whole, you know, electoral colleges thing, that whole process, you know, that's another story. But I think we're recognizing our rights, we're recognizing our power, we're recognizing our voice, and we're recognizing and like, okay, some way, somehow, we got to try to take this power back and just recognize what our power is. Because ultimately, you know, not for nothing, black people has always been looked at as like a force, you know, as a force, as something to be intimidated by and to, you know, to sort of be scared of, you know what I'm saying, be classified as the other, you know. And it's funny because I was actually having this conversation with my wife like probably like last week, and we were just talking about like the education, like, you know, that we get, like that you get, you know, like in elementary school, you know, from kindergarten, first grade, you know. And for the most part, for me personally, the person that I remember learning about first was Martin Luther King, you know. And it's hard for me to say like when I recall hearing about Malcolm X, or if it was a matter of like, you know, little trips to the library, whatever the case would be, you pick up a book, you know, and I just happen to see him like, oh, Malcolm X, who was that? And then over time, you know what I'm saying, like you have that self-learning period, or that's, you know, depending on like what goes on in your house, like the conversation, you know, that you have in your own household. But in school, what was impressed upon us was Martin Luther King, you know. And that's me and her, we started unpacking that a little bit, and just in that alone, just receiving that type of education, it's already, you know, sort of molding you in a way as far as like the type of black man they want you to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because the moment that you show a little bit of aggression, the moment that you show anger, whatever it could be, you're classified as the angry black man. You know, and anything else outside of that, you're again classified as other. And that's why like this whole concept about the school to prison pipeline is real. You know, because again, it's a matter of if you don't get with the program, then this is where you're gonna end up. You know, me and Rasheem, we've been doing this work for, you know, quite a number of years. But one of the things that I recognize with our youth is that if you're not getting a healthy dose of education that is looking to not necessarily shape you, but to empower you, you know, in the way they're approaching, to have like teachers and educators to really empower you and help you recognize your strength and where you really come from in the true history, to whether it's like, okay, this is where your people that look like you started, but this is also the people that did it to you, with that accountability piece. You know what I'm saying? And it's only then people will really truly get it. You know what I'm saying? Then we could really come together, have some type of unity, whatnot, and not only just integrate into society, but really just start to make more moves for ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking of? Just listening to both of y'all talk. I can hear myself, brother.
Okay.
I'm gonna move closer to the microphone because Simba is feeling some kind of way about my distance. But anyway, what I was thinking about, because I definitely feel miseducation played a large part with a lot of challenges that I feel that are still in place for, you know, African Americans, and with the integration process. I feel like we have definitely been able to become more socially accepted in these days. We've been able to connect. We have some people have made love connections, have started families, have had children that are mixed races now, and so forth. But I feel like one things that I think is probably bigger than any other people that we face is our stereotypes are amplified. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but I feel like if it's the angry black man, if it's because he's tall and black, he can play basketball, or all these other different things that I think causes either concern or fear, and I don't know if it's for any other race other than probably of white people. Like, it's just like that presents like a fear to them, that, that there's some level of detachment for like that person. Like they only can give so much to that person in terms of, some level of social acceptance. I don't think that's across the board with every Caucasian individual that I encountered, but I feel like for some of them, I feel like that stereotype that's amplified plays a major part with how they may perceive me or perceive someone else, in situations, especially when they're challenging something they're already passionate about. That I think that's one thing I know for a fact. In my experience, I feel like we're very passionate individuals.
Yeah.
We're very passionate people.
High energy.
I think that came from the fact that we had to survive. We know about that struggle on just being low, coming from low class and trying to work our way up to middle class and all this different struggles that we faced in life. And when we really feel like we've earned something, you can't just take that away from us. And then, or just, or gain a certain level of experience that you feel like you should be entitled to something. And then, like, my present situation, I'm overlooked for a job opportunity when I clearly earned that. I put in the time and effort. And then you went around that and did this, that, and the third to say I wasn't ready for that. I didn't earn that. But I came to you and positioned myself in where I was like, it was easy. You should have just gave it to me. It was a handoff. It wasn't something I even had to apply for, but it was still one of those things where the person was like, that's not for you. But you can still work for me. Do your job. But that was it. But I feel, overall, I feel like nowadays we have integrated more, but I do feel like part of the miseducation that we're still experiencing with our youth plays a part with how our stereotypes are amplified. I really hate the fact that the word nigger or the slang term or whatever you want to call that is still so relevant. It's still so fucking relevant, and it's like it's something that has to be. You hear it in all of the hip hop music, and it's ridiculous. I hate the fact that that's something that still seems to be justified now. It's like, yo, that's my homie, that's my brother. It was like, nah, that's not what it was founded on. And if we look at everything else in terms of racism and how we felt like this was a negative thing that happened or occurred, how the hell did that come out of that and become something that was now considered a lovable term?
So, and I know people feel differently. I had this argument, I remember like back in school and like having these arguments with some folks, and even like, some of my boys going back to the N-word thing. But I agree with you, but I know some people feel differently about that, right? And strongly too on the flip side argument of the word is now a term of endearment, right? Term of love, term of positivity. Like, because I agree with you, and I remember I asked this question and they couldn't answer it. And I think we just agreed to disagree and kind of left it alone. But I said, name any other race, right? I think these kind of things make it difficult because that's how people view you. That's to your point with the stereotype amplification, that these things kind of contribute to it in a subtle way sometimes that you think like subconscious, right? It's not like sometimes not overt, right? Where it's like, but I asked him, I said, name another race that uses a term amongst each other that was originally used to dehumanize them, to berate them, to make them feel lesser than human, right? Derogatory term. Name another race. He kind of stood there for a second. He's like, white. He's like, oh no. Indian. He's like, they don't do that. He's like, Hispanic. He's like, no. The first thing he said to me, he's like, when gay people, like the LGBTQ community, when they say, and I'm going to say this, Robert,
I'm sorry. You know, you just made me think of something about the Indians, and I was just like, how they still have the fucking Redskins.
We could talk about that, man. Hold that. Keep that. We're gonna unpack that shit. I'm gonna tell you about something I saw on the internet about somebody. People saying they're not offended at that, and someone saying, "Okay, I'm gonna just put a shirt on with Caucasians and a white image and see how people feel about that." So hold that thought right quick.
But I mean, before you go on, so like, just to like the whole idea about the word nigga. So I get it, how like it's a term of endearment, and how more, you know, like older black folk, older black folk and people who are very into like black empowerment, and you can see how it looks on a negative term and how it also demeans us. But you gotta understand, like, when you talk about like other races, you got to consider also too these are other ethnicities. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about Latin America cultures, they could trace back their history. You know what I'm saying? They could trace back on language that they have. Like even think about English. Where did English really necessarily come from? English is derived from many different types of there are many different types of languages. Starting with Latin. You know what I'm saying? Like the word Negro. Where did Negro come from? If you look to, that's Black and Spanish. You know what I'm saying? So it's like everybody takes from something, and then when you have a people like I said, us as African Americans, we were brought here. We were brought here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, if it wasn't a matter of they seen, if Western civilization did not see commodity and and making money and building off of the backs of labor. You know what I'm saying? Especially of a people that they can see as less as them, because you gotta understand too, like this, it ain't just only start with African slaves. You know what I'm saying? They tried it with the Native Americans. Americans couldn't happen. You know what I'm saying? They were too weak, frail. There's a certain thing. They kept combating, fighting. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna work. Indentured service, somebody that looked like you, there was a time frame, and it was considered a punishment. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you weren't rich, if you weren't if you didn't come from prosperity or nothing like that. But you had a contract, but you were white, but you still you were a white laborer. But it was a contract, and where you suffering like the same conditions.
Obviously.
So what you do is you bring, people that you see that is, hey, they look like they're used to working. You know what I'm saying? If you trace it all the way back to like time, in times of like before Christ, they're used to working. You know what I'm saying? Like they carrying heavy stuff. Let's go and see what they could do. You know what I'm saying? Mind you, there's different tribes to where it's like they're able to separate themselves as far as based off like their culture, their practices, their customs, and things like that, and their language. You know what I'm saying? And for us as black people, like the most that we could really draw back our history to, and something that as far as connecting us to this country, is slavery. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't really say, oh yeah, I came from this tribe over here, or I came from this tribe back in this country. There's nothing like that. We don't necessarily have a language that we can really trace anything back to. And think about it, how many black people are when you were in school, how many do you remember, like, if anybody ever called you like an African booty scratcher or anything like that, that you would be offended, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just like that, in that sense alone, if it's a shame to be considered anything close to Africa or anything like that of the like, that's a problem. So obviously you're going to create something that's based off your own, and just make the best of it. And that's the thing, like I feel like that black people did. You know what I'm saying? Like you have a language that was impressed upon to you, but mind you, can't even say it was pressed upon, because if we couldn't even read, then we just going off the basis of what other people say and how they talk, they talk to us. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like,
so we were programmed in a sense, right?
Program is, and then you call us a monkey. So it's like, yeah, damn right, monkey see, monkey do. You know what I'm saying? You talk like this, I'm gonna talk like this. And then breaking the chains, and then progressing through. Yeah, of course, you're gonna come up with your own language. You're gonna come up with something that separates you from the other. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even like with the black people that talk proper. You know what I'm saying? If they living in an urbanized neighborhood, they're considered an Oreo. You know what I'm saying? Because they're talking proper, because they're not using necessarily slang or anything like that.
Yep.
So it's different, because because we're a race of people that's still trying to find, as far as like, where the hell do we belong? You know what I'm saying? And right now, where we do belong is no better than probably, it's limited to the confines of our area. Whether we live in the projects, whether we live, and if we're fortunate enough to live in the suburbs, middle class, or whatever, that's where we're confined to. And it's a matter of like trying to, make it ultimately, to give better to our children and to our, lineage than we had, or just to keep expanding on that.
You're making good points, and I'm not denying that, right? But the word nigga still is not acceptable term. If that's a language that we want to say is like, okay, this is something we made our own, that's still not an acceptable term.
Well, so it's.
I feel like we already know all of the negative connotations, all of that, all the history behind it. It shouldn't be something, especially if you're saying kings, queens, brother, sister, all this other good stuff that can be said, and the way we overall present a package that is unique, that I feel like highly defines us as human beings, that we bring to light, and we showcase that. It's like I'm standing amongst a group of individuals yesterday, and I clearly was the light, and it wasn't like I was like going above and beyond to do it, but it's just because they were not at that place to be able to show it. And I was like, okay, all right, well, I'm going to show it because we need to gather to work together as a team for this particular staff development thing that we had to do, but they didn't bring that energy. But regardless, it's like it's a way that we carry ourselves, and if we are trying to carry ourselves up right, that is just like tearing down. That's an image that is like you want to keep blatantly push that in someone's face and make it seem as this. But when it looks even worse is when you have someone that's miseducated and they going off a champion at whatever being case as if this is the shit, but they so miseducated in everything else that they do or show or display. That's not a good look. That's not a good look to me.
So who would you say is necessarily responsible for doing the miseducation now?
Now,
what's overall?
I think realistically speaking, I think we have to first look into the homes.
Okay.
There was a lot of dysfunctional homes and households still to this day. I feel like that drug era was real. That crack era was real. And the fact is, yes, like the schools play another part with it as well. But I think when if it may be not because I came from a broken home, but I still had a level of consciousness that I was able to attain. But so I can't just say it was just that. But I think school played a part with it too. And then it's like also when you have the representation of people that have some notoriety, and how they present themselves, whether either they care or they don't care, you have like, example of what LeBron James did with his school, like building a school and all that and giving that back to Cleveland. But then how many people do we know from New York that actually said, you know what, I want to bring something home to each borough. And it was significant. This was on the news. We had press conferences. We did something that to make it like big and impactful. But it's like when there's lack of representation and presentation of how to do better things, along with, even if you are going to say, I'm going to justify this, say this term, and my songs and my music and so forth, like it's all good.
In movies as well, right? Don't just blame
but it's
music.
like when you're not packaging that, because I don't even feel like that's something really that's overall acceptable, but it sounds better when there's more things that's being done productively out of that. When you have someone that's miseducated and they just keep going with that and they're not doing anything else but partying and bullshitting and making it seem like life is like a joke and it's all about fun. It's like that's not what it is nowadays, because we see all the social injustice, all the things that's happening around us with people who just seem like they was just trying to live their life.
My thing is, and just to piggyback on that, and Charles, like, so, I mean, overall, I think we know the powers that be kind of help set up that structure to make it to where we are. But I guess my thing is how I look at it now, man. Like, at this point, like, and I look at it differently, and I know people going to disagree with me, but I look at it like we got to help ourselves, because we realizing that the structure that set it up for exactly to be this way, to put you in a position where we're above, and not only in the crabs in a barrel mentality, but not only are you below, but we messed with your mind and your mentality so much that there's not going to be any unity, right? So you're not going to think straight and say, okay, let's pull this up, let's do some teamwork, let's help each other up to get out of this. It's not like that, right? First man out, and when that guy's out, he's probably programmed to think not like, okay, let me help my other brother man get out of that situation. He's programmed to think, let me do my own thing. So I'm gonna just say, it starts in the home. You got to figure out a way to do it yourself, because then I'm gonna say, like, if you're not able to own your destiny, and folks are saying, well, it's set up for us to fail, which I understand, then my thing is, then what's the purpose of it all? If I know I'm climbing a mountain, I'm never going to get to the top based on the powers that be, then why am I even climbing the mountain then? I should just be chilling. Ain't doing nothing. I should never try to persevere to see and push that barrier and see how far I can get, or push that barrier with somebody else to see how far we can push it. And if I push it enough, maybe the guy, and you pay it forward, the next guy behind me is going to say, oh, I saw what they did. Let's take more of us and let's do it and see if we can get to the top. So I view it, you got to start in the home. You got to do it for yourselves, and I think you mentioned the word unity. We got to come together and put this thing together, right, to be able to like get to the place that we want to be. You know what I'm saying? So I get it, but at a certain point, you got to like, and this is me personally. I'm trying to make decisions to not only speak on it, but actions. Like, and remember, there's a big thing about banking black, right? And people like, oh yeah, it's cool, and everybody put it on social media, and I'm like, yo, you open a bank account yet? And you're like, nah, but I'm putting the hashtag though, like, But so that's, you got to do things to support that whole mission. So I'm just trying to do my part.
So I think, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I think like sometimes like what gets failed to realize, like, again, going back to like the youth that we worked with, what I'm saying, like a lot of them are definitely desensitized because they don't see like the light at the end of the tunnel. You know what I'm saying? You only see what you see like in pop culture, like within your neighborhood. You know what I'm saying?
Just the day to day.
It could be a day to day thing based off like your lifestyle, things like that. But you gotta understand, like, again, I'll loop back to history. It's like anytime that we try to like show any type of unity for any type of particular cause, we got shut down. You know what I'm saying? Like, Black Wall Street, that burning in Philly, with that, with their community when they tried to, and the name escapes me, but they, the last name, like it was Africa, you know what I'm saying? Like, they got burnt down, they got murdered, then you just think about like civil rights itself, people coming together, people literally having peaceful protests just so we can even be on the same block as a white person, be on a bus, going to the same restaurants as a white person, having a peaceful protest, unity, and people are getting slaughtered, murdered, beat down for doing that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yes, unity is definitely an answer, but it's like, how much more unity do we necessarily need to show to prove that we belong? You know what I'm saying? I think like, thankful to our ancestors and to our people, for fighting for those equalities. I think right now the issue is like equity. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you asked your friends, like, they bank black, but have you opened up a bank account yet? If they don't have nothing to open up a bank account with, what's the point? What's the point of even thinking about it? You know what I'm saying? And I do to the point, like I told one of my friends is that, say if you had like, people at the bar, you know what I'm saying? You had people, different races or whatever the case may be. Say if all of them had $20, you know what I'm saying, to their name. Yeah, well, they had $20 right there with them. That $20 would look different and would be treated different for everybody. You know what I'm saying? You claim the power. You said the powers they be. You know what I'm saying? I'm assuming like the white wealthy. That 1% that you're talking about, right? Yeah. So $20 is nothing. They making $20 a minute. You know what I'm saying? In their sleep.
Less. They make $20
in a millisecond. You know what I'm saying? Like
less than that.
Like it's coming easy to them. So it's like it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'll put that up on the table. The person, like somebody like myself who, as a black man, that $20 might look different for me. You know what I'm saying? To where it's like, okay, I could probably spend 10, but I gotta conserve this. Right. I gotta conserve this other 10.
But this is my retort or my response to that, and I understand where you're coming from. But me and my boys, the same way we talk about this as well. Me and my boys from back home, we talk about this as well. Like, okay, understand that I may not be able to. You made an example. We talking about banking black. I may not have enough money to even open that account, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where unity comes in, right? I may say, all right, maybe I got $500, I got 1,000, I got you. You can pay me back, and we can work that out because that's my brother or that's my sister, right?
Mm-hmm.
The same way you talking about that bar example, that $20 will probably look different to you. That's just how it is right now, even in 2018, right? But if I come in, I say, yo, I got you. Then you probably only gonna spend 10, but you can still be there in that bar the remainder of the night and know that your other brother got you. Or maybe we got another friend coming in. Okay, this round's on me, right? So we talking about the equity. Great point, right? So some of my boys, my boy had a baby shower in Philly, and he talking about, we looking he looking into real estate, right? Because that's what it's about, equity. I agree. That's how it's gonna change, right? And you pass that down to generation, to the home point you made. You teach your kids. You pass that on. This is probably not gonna change in our lifetime, straight up. But you hope that the following generations are going to evolve and get better, right? But he's talking about equity and building. So the first thing I say is like, what we doing? So he may not have all the money to put in to get a loan and to get a property. But if we pool our resources together and we help like some other co-signer and we pool our money together, can we not do it? Right? I got a group of 5-6 dudes. Everybody doing well enough to at least put some money in the pot. You don't think we come together and say, "Yeah, let's buy some in the Caribbean. Let's buy like a guest house," right? Right. One last example. We talking about equity, right? Back home, my mom and my sister, we trying to say, okay, let's build a guest house in the back of our home, right? Trinidad, Caribbean, everybody coming to tourists, right? People from Guyana, Venezuela, and all those neighboring countries or islands. Carnival, right? Every year we got to link up on that. Every year. So you understand that, hey, you can understand that we got like a little thing in the back. Why not build that up? Why not pool? Like my sister, hey, let's pool them. I'll put some. I'll invest. That's what you got to do. I'll invest. And I say, I may not get this money back this year. I may not get it back next year. But hopefully, once we keep with the execution, we'll see that 3 to 5 years from now, we can see that money coming in and we'll get it back double or triple, right? So I think I understand where you're coming from, but the only way to improve that is to pull somebody aside and say, yo, I got you. Let's do this together and have that trust. Now, not everybody's going to do that, but have that trust to say we should be able to pool our resources together to start investing. And it's not going to, here's the thing, and people need to realize this. You ain't gonna see no results right now. It's like going to the gym and think you're going to the gym for a week and you're gonna look like some model or something. You're not. The same way you invest, you're not gonna see the results in a couple months. You're not gonna see it in a year. People think when you invest in stock, you think you're gonna get that result in a month. Oh yeah, I'm gonna invest in stock. You're not gonna get the results in a month. It's always a long-term investment. So I think if you do that,
you're banging a lot on this
my
table,
bad,
brother.
I think if you do that, that's a passion, baby. I think if you do that, you're putting. I'm not saying that that's the only thing, but I think that's definitely a thing that's gonna help you propel you to get where you're trying to be years.
But you see that's what I'm saying. Like when I say the equity, that's one part of it definitely. But I'm saying like as far as us all being on a level, because the reason why I put out that metaphor, that example is because once we're all on a level playing field,
right,
then we can really see the fruits of fruits of our labor, and then honestly just say, okay, well, you fucked up. That's on you. You messed that up for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because we all started with the same, with the same handicap or whatever. It's the same thing. Now it's on you to go out there and make it happen. It's just like the example that you alluded to, as far as like you being passed up on an opportunity. You have to work 10 times as hard just to prove that you're 100 times as good. You know what I'm saying? And that's and that's the difficulty in a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? For us, as mothers, we have to continue to keep always proving ourselves. We we already come with a handicap, and you know what I'm saying, whether it's our skin color, whether it's our background, shit, let alone our name.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? God forbid, your name be Rameek. You know what I'm saying? Like how many people really gonna look at
Shaniqua?
You know what I'm saying? And then you trying to get a job at like downtown in Wall Street with a finance company. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just not gonna work. You know what I'm saying? You already have barriers and you're already confined. In that regard. So I definitely get what you're saying as far as about the equity, but my whole thing is that for us as a people, why should I have to get involved with 5 strangers just for me to get a house or get some property for me, and especially like if I'm trying to build something for my family?
You're 100% right on all of those points. 100% right. The way I look at it is, the game. I'll take the quote from The Wire. The game is a game, right? And I understand the game is that we're behind the 8 ball, right? They're on level 10, we're on level 1. They're on the top, they're in the penthouse, we in the lobby. And that's it. Forget like, oh, that's not fair. We know it's not fair. I know it's not fair, but that's the game. So you understand the game. I know I'm in the lobby. I know I got to run up 100 times faster to even try to catch up to you. And even then, I may not even get it, right? Right? So that goes to the whole opportunity. We got to be on our best behavior. We got to be 110% to get what they're getting at 10%, right?
It comes to why can't we all just start in the lobby?
If you I just think, to go back to what you were saying earlier in the session, man, I think it's just like, at least how this is my opinion on it, like, it's just the structure and the cause that we were dealt with, the slavery and all the different things you mentioned, and coming off the boat and skin color and culture and name and all those different things. We're just behind the 8 ball, right? And even in 2018, the guy in the White House, all of the different things you're seeing, people coming out, white supremacists. Like, I can't even imagine in 2018, like, we still got those? Like, literally, I remember I was literally at the barbershop. I'm like, and you hear about it, but like, they interviewing these people and these people like chilling? Like, isn't that wrong? Like, if I was to come and do something like that, wouldn't they like get out of here and like burn it? Like, it would be ridiculous. And they still have people like that who can choose, like, oh, that's my right, I'm chilling. And he's on interviews and he's saying what he's saying, and they're gonna bleep it out, but he's saying what he's saying. All this with the guy in the White House, he's saying and doing all these things. When you said LeBron built a school, he called Don Lemon and LeBron basically unintelligent and stupid. Mm-hmm. And he's doing what LeBron is doing more than what Trump is doing as far as building up certain communities. Even his wife, Melania Trump, came out and said, I agree with LeBron. Other people came out who were close to him, so to speak, came out and supported. So what are you doing? So it's just the cards that we were dealt. And given all them years of history that you mentioned, that's where we are now. Like, I understand it, but that's where we are now. And I view it as, this last point, I view it as we're in the lobby. We got to get to the penthouse. We know it's not fair. We know they're like 100 meter, like you go into a race, we start off at the 0 line, they start off at the 50 meter line. It's a 100 meter race. What we going to do? Now, my thing is, you got to continue pushing. And how I view it is, you can't look at my lifetime the same way how the civil rights movement, they weren't looking at MLK, he wasn't looking at his generation. Rosa Parks, she wasn't looking at her generation. Marcus Garvey wasn't looking at his generation. Malcolm X wasn't looking at his generation. They were thinking generations from now, based on what I'm doing today, years, decades, centuries after, we're going to see the benefits. Now, it's wrong. It's wrong. But the game is the game. And the game that we're playing, so to speak, not to make light of it, right? But what we're in, so to speak, is that certain people are behind the 8 ball in the lobby and they're in the penthouse. But you got to keep on pushing. So when you pass the baton, the next guy isn't starting from the lobby. He's starting from the 20th floor. And I'm making these analogies, but this is decades and centuries of time. It's not my lifetime, right? I'm hoping that my parents do what this, and we came over here, that I could hopefully, when I get kids, that they don't have to do what I did. And everybody can be educated fully. Everybody can be in great schools, and maybe they can build on the legacy that I built, so they can own something, right? And maybe own what I owned and get something else. So 50 years from now, right, my name is going to be like, oh, okay, we got a business, or we got business back in the Caribbean, or we got apartments. And then by building it forward and trying to build people, hopefully your brothers, you grab them and you can have something in your name, because I want to see you do good. And I'm not trying to, no jealousy, right? No, I just want to put you in a position to pay it forward so you can have your own stuff and then tell your network of people so they can build. Right. Now, it's not going to happen now. It's going to happen years from now, because that's how you got to think. And I think once that is done, then you're going to be on that level playing field. Right. And then you'll be able to make that decision. Oh, we all in the lobby. We all got the same chance. Let's see who wins. That's how I view it.
That was our perspective.
I agree. With some of what you said. No, you brought up some valid points. I think the thing that it really boils down to because I don't feel like we've done enough to be able to connect, to have more unity. I feel like, especially when it comes to money, there's a lot of distrust. And the starting points need to happen more often than not. I feel like some people would have such a fear for being able to become more selfless amongst their peers, amongst, yo, you my brother, you my homie, you my peoples, and if I'm coming to you and I say I want to build something with you, that's coming from the heart. That means whatever effort I'm putting into that, I don't want to see us fail.
Right. Right.
You know, and when I try to do that with a group of individuals or African American men, they could not come together for that.
Right.
And it came down to when it was like when that money thing came a part of it, it was like you seeing the heads moving, they nodding, and like, I'm not too sure about that. I don't know if I can count or trust this person to do the right thing by me, but you trust me on these other aspects, but you don't trust me when it comes to that. So it's like something's wrong there. The values, the principles, however you looking at that is wrong. It's a wrong outlook. But I feel like for a lot of people, not those starting points is where it starts at, because we still can have an impact, even though maybe years down the line, certain things are going to come into light. You know, they're going to materialize. But there's things that we could establish that shows that we have building blocks. And I think when it gets to starting to create those building blocks, that's where I feel a lot of like minorities or black people have issues with. You know, we know there are definitely black people who are more affluent nowadays, and they are in the penthouse. What they are doing with all of that, some of them are probably, you know, I would say definitely are having some positive impacts.
No, yeah.
Sure. I can't say that about everybody because I really don't know what everybody's doing with their money. We just know that they're in the public eye.
Right.
You know, for the most part. I don't know what Jay-Z has done for Brooklyn, for the most part. I don't know all that he's done.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. He might have a lot of real estate stuff or whatever. I don't know really what he's doing. It's like, so it's like, and of course, it's like, it's one of those things where you have to do more research. You have to, you know, you have to take more time to actually, you know, dive deeper into what's going on with them.
But going to that point with celebrities and black celebrities or celebrities, a minority who trying to do things for their community, like going into, okay, I'm gonna switch it to like sports, and like you mentioned Jordan and I mentioned like LeBron and sorry, you mentioned Jay-Z.
Jordan.
You mentioned Jay-Z. I'm gonna mention
man,
LeBron.
What you talking about, man? You talking about LeBron? I'm sorry. Nah, go ahead.
I'll mention LeBron and Jordan. Like, part of me is like, and I'm just coming from the heart. Like, I have a problem. Well, I feel like I'll tell my mom and my dad this. I was saying, I was like, after a certain time, like, if you do well for yourself, this is what I was saying, like, pay it forward. And I realized this, and there's no better feeling when you help somebody and you realize how much it's helped them, right? I remember I was at work and we had a volunteer event, like, for high school, and like they're coding and they're building like applications and building out like a design, but you know, cool stuff. And one of the women, a grandmother, not even the kid's mother, she was just there the whole time. Like, a lot of people left and came back because they're supervised, but she was like, I'm staying here. I want to see my grandson. I want to see what he's doing. I want to make sure they're good. She was from Trinity, found out, right? And we all talking, and she's like, I'm glad what you did today, sir. I hope that one day when you're in a position of more influence and power, because you're now starting your career, your journey, that when my grandson grows up, he can look for you, right, to say, hey, I want to put you in a position, sir. I want to give you the same opportunity that I got when I was, right, his age or a little bit older, right? And I looked at that and I was like, we exchanged contacts, and I was like, the fact that she felt that someone like me, and I felt like I even had them powers, but the fact that she said that was like, yo, like, yeah, you can be that person, and you can pull the next person up, right? And then he or she would pay it forward, right? So that just had me like, I'll be honest, I didn't realize the impact that I can have on another person's life on that level, right? Like I was interviewing people, and you're putting people in position based on, right, you're in a position of power and influence to hopefully change someone's career, change someone's destiny and path. That shit is mind blowing to me, right? But going back to the Jordan, why I brought that up is like I get you. There are a lot of people, celebrities, that we don't know what they're doing publicly, And they're probably doing a whole bunch of shit behind the scenes. Jay-Z, like, he doesn't say a lot of stuff. Only now, he's been out so long. Only now, with that last album, 444, he kind of got really super personal and talked about all this extra, the conscious stuff and investing. And you got buy art, buy things that appreciate in value. He wasn't talking about that like for a whole album. He wasn't talking about that when he had interviews. So he's probably evolved over the years to get to that point where he feels I should pay it back. I got all this money. This is the only thing left to do, which is to help the next man up, right, or the woman up. And I feel like one of the major things that
he is a parent too, so
right. And one of the major things that I feel people forget is it's money, but it's also your voice. I felt that Jordan never did that, right? I think your voice, when people are looking up to you, treat you like an idol, and especially given to use your point, Charles, we not at a level playing field. Well, to help usher and make sure people get to where they gotta go. Sometimes, the money is one thing and your time is another. But speaking it.
But, sorry to cut you off, but just so we could get back to the main point was that I was talking about was the building blocks. That was the main point. I granted, like I use that as an example about, people being in the penthouse and so forth that are African Americans or whatever the case, that are affluent African Americans, but that wasn't the big thing that I was focusing on. The big thing was focusing on knowing that we are at the level we are. We have the knowledge, we have information, we have a higher level of consciousness. We can come together and build from that. But not everybody wants to do that.
But something. So back to your point to when you were saying you offered you put the opportunity on the table to a few of your friends. You know what I'm saying? And it was like once you started talking about the monetary part, that's when it head started shaking. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, it just goes back to what you said before. For us as a community, for us as a culture, survival was the main thing. So it's like if everybody's situation looks different. You know what I'm saying? Like if a man, has a kid or a family to provide for, he's not going to be as, willing to put down, 500, a G just like that. You know what I'm saying? Out of his savings, especially considering you might fall on hard times. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who's either living by themselves, paying child support.
But it's not just like that.
But I know it's not just like that. But I'm just saying as an example. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's just like
or other financial responsibilities.
And that's
right?
why I say everybody's $20 sort of like look different, for them. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, I get it. I grant it. Like both of y'all, like I said, as far as collectively putting your money together and putting up something, and it even makes me think about the point where I remember a long time ago, like Jay-Z, I think probably if we want to, stick on him as an example, I think probably a coming to age moment for him was he was trying to buy, I believe it was like a penthouse or a condo on the east side. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere like Manhattan, like, mid Manhattan or something like that. And they told him
Tribeca?
It was probably.
I'm not sure, but go ahead.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it was that low. It might have been. It might have been like around that area. But a long time they told him no. You know what I'm saying? Now, mind you, if we're talking about quality and all the progression that we got, green. Last I checked, money's still green. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's the same once it switched from hand to hand, no matter what color the hands are that's exchanging it. You know what I'm saying? And he was told no. So the fact of the matter is just like if it's either one or two things. You either ask for permission, you know what I'm saying, in order to get in there, or you just buy the whole damn thing to where you make the rules,
right?
To where you're providing the permission, and that's the thing. Like that's what I'm saying. Like as far as I can understand, how all of us coming together and creating something to where it's like we're establishing like a community or developing something, to where like
it got to be like that. It got to be like that for you to get on that level playing field. And then to use another Jay-Z example, since we on him, that's why I think so. We have Apple Music, we have Spotify, we have Tidal. Instead of him putting his music up and asking for permission or saying they may not give me what I'm due based on what I've earned, he said, I'm going to just buy something. He bought it for pennies on a dollar, so to speak. I can't remember the name of it, but it was like a Swedish company, and then they rebranded it and said it's Tidal. He bought his own, and he owns the majority stake. That's his own music streaming service. And in the landscape of music right now, there's only 3, and he's a part of that. And as I said, he may not be on a penthouse and may not have the backing of all the Spotify and the Apple Music, but he's in the building. He may not be in a penthouse in that landscape, in that market, but he has something. And I think to the flip to what we've been saying is, if we were now able to support that and push that up, right? Because I'm even thinking of, you know what? I may cancel my subscription and go with that. To say, let me push that up, because all this talk I'm talking, it got to be action, because then it's not going to be no change. Subscribe with him. I'm going to give you my money, right? And hopefully you're going to...
This is what I mean. This is what I mean.
But also too,
this is what I mean.
But also too, like, you understand, like, you one person. I mean, that would be all great, and that you added.
But that's the mentality,
right? And but again, as far as like getting on the same page as a collective, like, that's the issue. It's like, how do you reach that? How do you do that? You know what I'm saying? And maybe we're not there yet. You know, maybe we're not there yet. Maybe we need to.
We definitely not there yet.
You know, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I feel like more people, you know, especially like the younger generation, I feel like it's they're waking up and they're recognizing like certain things, like even like with the whole music game. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know if y'all seen Straight Outta Compton, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So you remember like with that whole thing, like with Ice Cube going in there and breaking dudes' records, and you know, records that he you know what I'm saying, that he
earned,
made, and that
he wrote too.
He wrote, and he can't get his money for that. You know what I'm saying? You got somebody who's in, you know, the powers that be. You know, this white dude, you know, telling him, you need to wait. You know, you need to wait, holding his money. You know what I'm saying? And I think like that's why like a lot of young artists, they're doing like the whole SoundCloud route. You know, they're doing like the whole independent thing, like pushing the video. If it catches fire, then we could talk about money. Then we could talk about streams and stuff like that. But as far as like, you know, sign your name on the dotted line, I got to put this many albums out. You know, you tell me if I got to put this content out, I got to do that. I think that's why the game is changing now, because I think like the power is definitely in education. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at some point we definitely have to rewrite the narrative, and not for nothing. Like I said, you know, I think real estate is definitely a big part of it. Real estate is definitely a big part of it, is because you know, I feel like for us as a community, as a people, we gotta have the ability to say that we belong to more than just a housing projects. You know what I'm saying? I'm waiting to, you know, to where it's like, you know, we have like, you know, a gate coming into our community, you know, type of thing. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to living down the block to where we depreciate the value. You know what I'm saying? It's because it's a lot of it's a lot of things that's attached to us that we do not necessarily see that other people recognize. And, well, the white people, you know, honestly, you know, that not even just a matter of like necessarily recognize, but it's like they put things into place to where it's a matter of, okay, again, we're devalued, demeaned in various different levels, and it's like, you know, you throw you this, you should be happy. You know, you have this opportunity, you should be happy. You should settle for that, you know, type of thing. But like you said, you know, us coming together as a people, I think that that's mainly like, you know, that's the important thing. And like I said, rewriting the narrative. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, trying to get our own businesses. You know, building up, you know, our own communities. I think it really starts like really at the communities, and potentially even with the banks too. You know what I'm saying? Is because, you know, there's a lot of things that has chains on us, you know. And I know like we were supposed to talk about like modern day slavery stuff like that, you know what I'm saying, but like things like that, like credit score, you know, criminal record, all those things are still different types of chains that we have on us that they put into place. It's like, okay, we're going to still keep you chained up some way, somehow, you know what I'm saying. And I think it's just rewriting that and trying to combat that, figure that out was definitely the way to for us to, you know, grow better.
Definitely. I think we brought up a lot of valid points, and it's fine that we didn't just go fully in on that. I feel like we, on modern day racism, I feel like we spoke to that. I feel like this is going to continue to be a challenge, because I feel like the forward thinking for some people is just not there yet. It could be the education levels. I think that, you know, or it is for most. I feel like the work that you and I do, Charles, I feel we personally know that we're trying to have the best impact on the youth that we work with and bring them up on a more of a self-empowerment level. Now, I don't approach the work as if there's separation between the races. I approach it as to try to build and develop the network and connect with others. That's how I approach the work. And even though I feel definitely that there's, probably more disunity amongst African Americans than probably any other ethnic background group. Um, I don't make it. I try to make it to how I'm communicating the message is that you all should focus on overall connecting with others and building from that aspect because there's resources all around you and you shouldn't limit yourself to who you're willing to work with to develop yourself further in life. I really feel that we have to do more of a deeper dive into how we are looking to build and looking to develop. And I think we can't just keep limiting our mind or our point of views on who can get us there.
Right.
And I think that's one of the biggest issues that we deal with as a people. And like I can't keep calling someone you're my brother, you my friend, and on this level, and then when it comes to me saying let's get money together, you're not prepared to do that. Right. I really
I would say this.
I feel like that's important. It's like if I'm asking you and I'm telling you, and if I'm showing you, like again, like I mentioned earlier, it's like I'm showing you all this loyalty, these values, these principles, and things that you appreciate. When it gets to that point, it's like that's where the focus should be. Like I'm not gonna burn the bridge down. I'm looking to connect with you so we can grow further.
Right.
And from there, that's how the approach I think should definitely be.
I agree with that. The only thing I would say, because this happened maybe like a month or maybe like 2-3 weeks ago, I think, and we were talking to some of my boys, and somebody brought that up, like they wanted to do something, and I'm like, all right, cool, and he brought that up. We brothers here, right? And I think I was the first one to be like, show me your plan. Like, I got you. But show me your plan. Show me why do you think this investment
Right.
is going to be successful.
Right.
Now, there's going to be some risk, right? But that's what you sell it and you say, hey, man, I really think, right?
Risk
You
out
can't
with
just
the
tell
game.
me, hey, man, I want to invest. Let's buy a TV. It's for $5,000.
Right,
and
right.
not tell me why you want to buy a $5,000 TV
Right.
and why it's going to be beneficial to whoever, me,
Right.
you, or the group, right?
Facts.
And when I said that, he kind of got offended. And one of my other boys had to step in and be like, no, he's right. Like, we are down to put in money for the betterment of us, individuals, the community, whatever, kids, whatever. But you can't just say, let's do this and not give a plan or a reason or a proposal like any other person you'll be doing business with, right? To say X, Y, Z, this is why I think this is going to be beneficial for us as a group, from us as individuals, for X, Y, Z, right?
Well, he gave a reason. He said brotherhood. That was part of his reason. Like, based on the brotherhood, he just didn't have the plan.
So you're gonna, and I would say to that, that's not a problem. Let me see the plan. Like, I can't go, and even if you're my brother, I'm not gonna go and invest in something, right? Because it's money at the end of the day. I'm not gonna go invest on something on good faith, where I have, especially when you don't, and just get into it a bit. But if I know somebody who's not good with money, or ain't never shown me an example of when they did X, Y, Z, why do I think in going in good faith that I should give you money, my hard-earned money, right?
So this is where like it comes into like the whole idea, like you said, about paying it forward. You know what I'm saying? Because I think like looking at the whole idea about brotherhood, just stopping right there is to where it's like you show me something to get something, and it's a matter of it don't only have to be that. Now it's a matter of like he don't have his plan. Show him how he create that plan. You know what I'm saying? Like show him how to like first approach it, and then to where it's something that's validated, and to where it's like he don't only have to come to you, but he could go to anybody else.
So that's what we discussed, right? Mm-hmm. And he's an interesting individual. He kind of like not seriously. He kind of piped down and was like, yeah, whatever. But other people in the group are like, no, Simba's right. Like, we down for you, but like, okay, let us hear more what you have to say. Maybe we can work together to build a plan or whatever, right? But just don't think because I want to buy, using a TV example, I want to buy a $5,000 TV. Let's do it. I'm just going to be like, all right, here's my $1,000. And just think I'm going to just give you. So, because it's a difference in investing and using and brotherhood. I'm like how people get recommendations, and I'm giving you money not only because maybe it might not be successful, but I believe in what you're trying to do. And you're my brother, so I'm gonna give you that on good faith. And there's also a flip side of, am I just wasting my money?
Well, it depends. I mean, like, if it's a matter of just he just want to buy a damn TV, then it's a matter of my brother. You just say for that.
No, that's no. I'm
You know
using
what I'm
I'm using
saying?
I'm using that as an example. But what I'm saying is, I want to ensure that if we want to put up, there's a plan, and if there's not a plan, let's collaborate to create something. Don't just wake up in the morning and think, oh, because he's my brother and we have that bond, that I can propose something, and I'm not gonna try to come up with a plan. Or to your point, if I don't have one, I'm not willing to sit down and have that conversation to build one, to say, you know what, I appreciate the help, fellas. Like different backgrounds, different people, a different knowledge set, different skills. Okay, let's buy. Okay, thanks for this help. This is what, based on all the collaboration, this is what I want to do. Let's do it. Because you can't just. What I'm saying is, you can't just say, all right, let's go and buy this building. I'm like, all right, so do, like in my head, I'll be like, so we know, is it gonna appreciate? Is the neighborhood gonna be popping in the next 2-3 years? How much is it? Right? When do you plan to buy? Like, when is the market? Like, at least some of the basic questions that I think is helpful to make you to say, okay, you know what? At least check some boxes, and the one that's not checked, I'm gonna say, you my man, and I know what you're trying to do. And I know you mean well, like you're not trying to BS anybody, right? But there's some due diligence that you need to have because it's business. So you want to check some boxes.
You gotta pull the strengths. You pulling the strengths, pulling.
Yeah.
So it's like when you're connecting, you're strong at this, you strong at that. I know you're strong at this. We're connecting and we're pulling that and we're building and we're creating something. And it speaks to pretty much what you're saying. It's like, okay, I know this. This is like, okay, you came at me with this, but there's no structure to this plan. I'm now pointing out to you how we can structure this plan.
Be open to that. That's what I'm saying. He wasn't open to that.
And
he had a plan, and I said, let's have a structure. And he's like, nah. So you can't just give me money? And we were willing. It's not just me. We were willing to, like, let's sit together. I'm not poo-pooing your idea. I want to hear it, but let's sit together and let's, like, sit as we sit in this room right now. Okay, all right, this is how much. All right, this is. What about if we try this? We can probably get it more. What if we try buying this too? We could, right? He wasn't even down to that. So I was like, that's messed up. If you're down for it and you don't have anything set up, be open-minded for the collaboration for other people. Not only the person that you probably approach initially, but to hear other people's thoughts and ideas, because everybody come from a different background, probably educated differently on different majors, different things, different skill sets that they do in their current job. So they're going to come at it like from a tech perspective, operations, business, marketing, product. And as if you have that group of people, I agree with you wholeheartedly. You're going to get a lot of shit done. And it's going to put us in a position where we're not in the lobby and we're getting closer to the penthouse.
He thought he'd just end that off with some slickness. Like, you ain't dropped the mic, brother. But anyway, I know. So, just last thoughts. Before we get into that, though, because I just want to go quickly around and just have us give our last thoughts. I think we need to have another conversation. And maybe that just focuses on the unity side and how, to create a plan where we could work better with one another. Maybe that could be the focus of that conversation, because it clearly was something that was brought up during this conversation. But just real quickly, just want to go around and just get some last thoughts from everyone. So what do you think, just overall, about what we discussed today? And, has it changed your perspective in any way, or just it made you just think more about, like, other ways that can possibly improve on the narrative?
I think it definitely. I'm not gonna say like it necessarily like change like my view or anything like that. It's definitely like some thought provoking stuff. I think if anything, like the conversation definitely enhanced my beliefs and like my feelings towards certain things, as far as like the quality versus equity piece, how to accomplish that unity, really working together. You know what I'm saying? Like what that really looks like, and really creating something for yourself and. Really taking ownership of like your own destiny ultimately. You know what I'm saying? Like to the point, just real quick, like you were saying about like the work that we do. The work that we do ultimately for the most part is funded on grants. You know what I'm saying? It's funded on grants, all type of programs and stuff like that, and other contracts and other things along in that regard. But you gotta think about like who's behind that. You know what I'm saying? Like so not every time when you ask that question, ultimately when you come to face with the person who's looking for you to deliver this, it's ultimately somebody that don't look like you. Sometimes it's not even also the same person that look like you. Now I'm not saying that's in all regard of the same thing, but I think like that's where the short sightedness, comes, and it's just a matter of like, we're smaller, we're a smaller part to the larger scheme, because ultimately, like, you understand, like, if we don't deliver, we out of a job. You know what I'm saying? We don't meet our deliverables, we out of a job. We don't meet the objective of the contract, we out of a job. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like right back to square one, to where it's like that type of pressure is not on the people above. It's just a matter of like, oh, you gotta rethink this again, or maybe it just didn't work there. Let's try it over here. And that's again, like I said, that's the short sightedness of it, and it's a matter of like us taking control of the narrative. And that's why, like, I think like we brought up about Jay-Z and LeBron, especially LeBron, because I was telling people a long time ago, this man, he's looking to change the game into the sense to where he's not only looking to like just be regarded as a great player with rings. You know what I'm saying? Just to come back, to Cleveland every now and then, or whatever the case. Well, LA, if he do out there in LA or Miami, and just come back, wave to the fans like, hey, I'm still alive, y'all. You know what I'm saying? He's looking to be in that box suite. He's looking to be in the box where he's controlling the moves. Like, I'm gonna pay him this. Yeah. I'm gonna pay him that. I'm gonna control like who's a part of this organization type of thing.
And you gotta give it up for that, man.
Yeah, you definitely.
When you think about it, you really.
Because you got to also too think about like with the whole thing with the buying of the Carolina Panthers, or like when this dude Donald Sterling, that was doing in the Clippers, right? Yeah. We had rappers, people that we look up to, was like, I got to be like him. You know what I'm saying? Like, his money long. You know what I'm saying? He probably don't have to go hungry every day. But yeah, they couldn't buy the team. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It was a matter of, like you were saying, like maybe that could have been a moment to where it's like all of us come, let's all of us get together, and mind you, and I think it was stupid also too, like everybody putting it out, their tweets or whatever case, like tweeting about it, Instagram, putting it out there. I think like that's what messed up like the whole thing, is because ultimately, like, again, we do come with our barriers, we do come with our chains. So it's just like our name, putting it out there like that, we already taking ourselves out of the conversation.
I think you're putting more barriers when you put it publicly on that.
Right, and it's just a matter of, like you said, why can a few people, and it didn't have to be everybody that's in the rap game or anything that's a part of pop culture. Somebody just with money, why don't you be the
someone could be the face.
Somebody could be the face. The majority of my money is gonna be put up, but you're gonna be the face. Why don't you go and let's do this again.
And maybe that happened and they didn't get it, but I agree with you. Part of me felt like all this talking with the tweeting and the Instagram posts, you would think, right, that they could have gotten a room just like this and they could have had discussions, right? All them, Forbes, listen, you worth $500 million and all that. You don't think you can get like 10 people, 10, 15 people?
And that's the thing, even with that, it's like saying that you're worth $500 million don't even mean that you have $500 million.
Right.
I mean, that's just how much you worth, but considering your investments and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
But here's the thing: if 10 people, right, each put up 100, right, and then you have another 5, and they, the workings of it, and someone's the face of that particular purchase, you would think that could happen. Right, like you're just thinking about it. Like, forget, I don't know the inner workings, but if you just think about it, all that talk, all that money that you see, even if you're worth $500 million, or maybe you can put up 100 in credit. Like you couldn't put it up flat, but you can put it up. You couldn't liquidate it, but you can put it up, right, based on your assets. You can like just transfer that money in, right, like stocks and bonds and different things that you probably have, your different assets that you have. Just have 10 to you can get 10 to 15 people to do that. Maybe they did. Maybe they got the door got shut. No idea. But in theory, thinking about it, you'd be like, that could happen, right? Like, I thought it could happen.
But
the tweeting and thing didn't help. I agree with that.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, somebody like LeBron is definitely, like what the man is doing and what he's looking to accomplish. It's truly something special. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's truly something special. Not only the philanthropy, that he's doing, like with the building of the schools and stuff like that. But like I said, he's also changing the game and just letting a lot of young men like himself know, like, listen, the game is not only played on the court. You know what I'm saying? It's played behind. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's okay to aspire to just want to be a coach or assistant coach. It's okay to just be one, just wanting to be like the strength trainer, like the guy that prepares the guy into the game just because you played ball. Because not for nothing, like, not everybody gonna make it to the A. Not everybody gonna make it to the NFL. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I think also too, we should probably converse about that. About like the whole sport, because that was a part of our
what ignited
about our shared text or whatever. But it's a matter like like I said, he's just changing the narrative and he's taking control as far as like truly doing his part, as opposed to just putting up, just waiting till the game is finished with him and then okay, I'm just gonna get like a minor ownership or minor stake in this team or whatever the case would be, and be just again the minuscule, the small man to the bigger, larger scheme. So, but I mean, I definitely appreciate coming up here. And I definitely want us to
Do it again.
expand on these conversations. Yeah, definitely do this again though.
My biggest takeaway. So again,
Don't be long-winded, yo.
No. how you go? Yo, if you
Joking,
viewers could
man.
see
Go
this
ahead.
man, I'll take away his mic right
Go
now.
ahead, man. I'm joking.
No, but what I'm gonna keep it short, man. No, what I was gonna say is, I kind of want to challenge myself, right? We talk about the action, and I thought, all these things I'm saying, and I'm like, it's one thing to talk about it. It's one thing to have the mentality about it, but the last and final piece to that is the execution. My dad always used to tell me that when I was younger, you got to do it. First things first. You got to do it, right? So you talk about, Banking Black. Heck, I talked about Banking Black. I talked about Title. Yo, am I doing it? I think you called me out. You said you may, you can, or you will. Are you gonna do it? Right? So I got to look at myself and say, I am going to do it. And I will come back and say, I've done it. That's what I took away from this. Like I know better, do better. Why am I not doing it if I know it? I know all these things. I know how certain things work. Why I'm not doing that to continue to push what I believe. So that's what I took away. Going from this, I'm going to cancel some stuff. I'm going to put, no lie, I'm going to put stuff in play where what I'm saying and what I believe in is actually what I'm doing. And that's what I took from this.
Yeah, I think
That wasn't long-winded, huh? That was good, man. Stop playing. Go ahead.
Oh God. Anyway,
You only got like 5 minutes left.
I think the one thing that, this whole conversation was beneficial to me. I think this has been a tough week for me, professionally and personally, and I think I know I'm at a turning point right now where I feel that I have to do more to empower myself, and with considering what changes I know I need to make, professionally and personally, I have to just do it. I have to do it. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. I think one thing that I feel is definitely important too is we have to continue to increase our consciousness. I think we can't just keep putting limitations on ourselves. And I'm just hoping that we can do more of that and build more on that. With that being said, you want to plug anything, sir?
I'm good, man. How do y'all end this anyway? I mean,
We're about to end it, but I normally end it with asking the guests if they want to plug anything, something they want to direct people to, maybe social media, if the person has a blog, anything of that nature.
I ain't got no friends, man. Ain't nobody No, not at all.
It could be it could be just the organization, the work you do with youth and stuff like that. If you wanted to plug programming or something you have coming up, looking to recruit, or it could be things of that nature. You work in nonprofit, brother. Who knows, man?
Nah. I think I do that enough for on my daily activity. I think if anything, if I come up here again, or I definitely want to bring more support to what y'all doing up here. You know what I'm saying? Because it's something definitely very positive. I enjoyed myself. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't sure what to expect today or whatever case would be. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely enjoyed myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, what I do in my daily life for my job. You know what I'm saying? That's to pay the bills. You know what I'm saying? Ultimately, like I tell all these youth, there's many different resources, many different opportunities out there. It's just a matter of taking advantage of them and using them, and just making sure that you're making the most constructive, the most constructive effort out of your time. You know what I'm saying? And if anything, I definitely encourage more people to listen to Curious Success. And appreciate what y'all doing. You know what I'm saying? Because this is something very special. This is a part of y'all coming together and trying to create something for yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Put y'all stamp on society. As two black men. You know what I'm saying? I definitely appreciate that. And any way I can support more, I definitely will, and we could definitely have those conversations. But look forward to definitely being back up here. If ever I get another Saturday off. You know what I'm saying? Or I get my own business. I make my own hours. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what happens, man.
Sounds good. So definitely, thank you for coming out, stepping up, and having this conversation with us. We are, featured on YouTube and working on some other platforms we're looking to get on in the near future. Nevertheless, this episode will be coming out soon. This will definitely be our installment for August. So, thank you everybody for, another I Feel Positive podcast and good episodes. And we out.